with the building selling out immediately within an hour of tickets being put on sale. WCW in front of over 16,000 people at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, coming 6 days from Halloween Havoc with the go-home show for one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. WCW, similarly to last week, used the unopposed hour to build to the next two, with hype video packages and star power saved for the head-to-head period. Ric Flair, who would come out later in front of an hometown crowd with WCW's last show in the building in April, built as Ric Flair Day, did an interview with WCW's Mark Madden talking about his legal dispute with Bischoff and the company, while saying that the night he returned on September 14th due to the crowd response and the big numbers it drew on TV was the biggest night of his career. Scott Steiner came out for a promo to open the first head-to-head segment at 9. Steiner buried Buff and Judy before challenging any Minnesota athlete to come out and take him on, bringing out Rick to remind Scott that he will always be his little brother, starting a Steiner vs. Steiner brawl 6 days from the match, with Bagwell eventually coming out in a hinted face turn and aiming to hit Scott instead of Rick. Raw opened with Vince McMahon's celebration and almost the entire roster walking to the ring a day after firing Austin to close the pay-per-view main event, with him counting out both Taker and Kane and not crowning a new champion. Vince started with an announcement regarding the vacant title, guaranteeing that on November 15th there will be a new champion, announcing a 16-man one-night tournament to determine the next undisputed WWF champion at Survivor Series. Vince told viewers that the next time Austin wants to be at the arena in one of his shows again he will have to buy a ticket, saying that Austin 316 merchandise is now a collector's item replaced by McMahon 316, while Austin's picture on the Titantron turned into a live shot of him holding a gun, as Raw opened big with a 4.9 rating, its highest rated opening segment in 3 months. WCW had British Bulldog vs. Fit Finlay next, with Alex Wright interfering to continue the angle of who is the greatest European wrestler in the business, with Chris Jericho coming for a promo moments later calling out Goldberg. Jericho said that Goldberg ducked him 3 times now while calling him Greenberg throughout, before going over to Page, with him coming out to set up Page vs. Jericho for later in the show. After the big success of the WWF merchandise show on the Home Shopping Network, WCW held its first show on QVC on Tuesday with appearances from Goldberg and Nash, and within an hour did massive business, selling over 23,000 items of WCW merchandise on the show, with the network in a press release a day later calling it the most successful wrestling event in TV shopping history, with more specials coming up in the near future, while the WWF is scheduled for its next Home Shopping Network special on the hour after the Survivor Series pay-per-view on November 15th. The angle continued on Raw, with Vince sending Bossman to take his family out of town, before Vince's personal security bailed out on him after the cops asked for Austin autographs instead of arresting him, with both Austin and the cops foreshadowing the upcoming angle, calling Austin's gun a nice toy. Disco and Wright came out scheduled for a tag match against Super Calo and Silver King, before Arn Anderson came out with the returning Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko to replace them in the match, going over in 3 minutes with Bischoff on commentary. Eric also did a media interview during the week, responding to some questions on the WCW product. When asked if Hogan gets too much airtime on the shows, Eric responded that WCW was built on Hogan's back and he can't get enough TV time, while saying that breaking up the NWO was a big success for the huge merchandise sales the Wolfpac are doing alone. Raw jumped to its highest quarter of the night with a 5.2 rating between 9:30 to 45 with the Headbangers against Halloween and the Taker Kane Bearer pay-per-view follow-up, coming after Bearer made his return during the main event, turning on Kane to side with Taker. Taker started saying that Bearer has come home to lead his Ministry of Darkness, wanting to join someone with a similar vision to his, saying that this is a new era with them set to unleash their ministry in something the business has never seen before, with Taker revealing that he was the one who set their house on fire and Bearer saying that he used Kane since he was a child for this moment, bringing out Kane with a casket to challenge Taker for tonight. After opening the head-to-head hour with a 3.7 rating with no movement for the first 45 minutes of the show, WCW jumped over 700,000 viewers for Dallas Page vs. Chris Jericho going 6 minutes for the TV title, along with Scott Hall continuing to drink at the bar between 9:45 to 10 p.m., ending with Goldberg coming out to spear Jericho followed by Page giving him a cutter to start a Goldberg-Page brawl in the final hype segment for the match, with WCW's advertising in the last month billing both Hogan vs. Warrior and Goldberg vs. Page as the main event, with talks still going on which match closes the show. At the same time, Raw had Mankind coming into Vince's locker room to protect him, saying that Sheriff Sacco is the new head of security, while attempting to cheer him up by playing games until McMahon kicked him out of the room. With the rest of the quarter featuring Steve Blackman against Jeff Jarrett, coming out with Debra on her WWF debut, with the announcers referencing their previous partnership in WCW. WCW opened its third hour with Rey Mysterio vs. Billy Kidman going 12 minutes for the Cruiserweight title and Rey's first match back after over 2 months out with knee injury, while Raw bounced back into the 5 rating range, having a loaded quarter at the top of the hour. First with Vince calling his limo driver, telling him to back the limousine up to the outside entrance to try to escape from the building, ending up with Austin waiting for him inside to wheel him back to the room and take him hostage for the next hour, with Austin and the announcers subtly teasing how far Austin might go without clearly saying it on air. Moments later, Rock came out for a match with D'Lo Brown going 4 minutes, with Rock going over. With the Survivor Series tournament announced and Rock as the official #1 contender with his momentum growing by the week, the WWF pay-per-view scheduling was revealed for cable companies during the week, with the December pay-per-view called Rock Bottom, adding more speculation on Rock winning the title by that point. WCW jumped over 600,000 viewers back as Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff were coming up next, this time in a segment involving the mayor of Minneapolis, to massive heat from the Target Center crowd, along with huge chants for Jesse Ventura, coming less than 2 weeks before the gubernatorial election, with Ventura running for governor of Minnesota. The mayor attempted to turn the crowd back by introducing 2 Minnesota athletes and then another hometown favorite, Ric Flair, announcing it as Ric Flair Day in Minneapolis to bring out Derek to the ring. Bischoff said that Flair shouldn't be in his ring no matter what town this is, to lead to a back-and-forth exchange with the mayor as Eric's car was being towed away outside the building. Raw had a Tiger Ali Singh $500 offer segment with Godfather, while Austin continued with the teased assaults on Vince, first pulling out a knife to cut an apple, and then doing hunting practice shooting an arrow into the wall while telling Vince that when he does go he won't feel a thing. With both groups of the NWO already in the ring for their scheduled 6-man tag match, Nash was shown backstage staggering out of his locker room with a drink in hand while wearing an Outsiders t-shirt. Hall and Nash saluted each other, laughing from both sides of the ring as the rest of the teams worked the match, setting up both accidentally getting tagged as the building was buzzing for the Hall and Nash clash with drinks in hand, ending up in a swerve of Nash revealing that his cup was empty to lay out Hall to a big reaction, with the segment jumping around 500,000 viewers to WCW's highest rated quarter of the night with a 4.5 rating. While the NWO tag match was going on TNT, the Austin McMahon angle continued on Raw, with Austin making several movie references, taping Vince to his chair while going to find a sledgehammer, along with Mankind vs. Val Venis going 4 minutes, with Val going over after Shamrock's interference, with the gap between the shows the closest of the night with a 4.7 to 4.5 rating margin. With a promoted match against Horace, Hulk Hogan in a rare situation made his first appearance of the night at over 10:45, interrupting the Michael Buffer introduction and sending him out of the ring. Hogan hyped the Warrior match on Sunday, saying that he's finally gonna meet the person he ran off 8 years ago while calling Horace to come out. Hogan told Horace to shoot and tell the world what's his full name, revealing himself to be Horace Hogan, the son of Hogan's brother. Hogan said that the same blood runs through their veins as family, calling out NWO Hollywood and giving Horace his shirt as the new member of the group before turning on him to send a message to Warrior saying that he will sacrifice his family to beat Warrior on Sunday, telling him that this time he's not gonna meet the good guy Hulkamaniac as he did in 1990, bringing out Warrior for the save, with Giant eventually laying him out in the final build-up to the rematch, with the segment maintaining the joint peak quarter with a 4.5 rating. Minutes before the Taker vs. Kane main event, Austin asked McMahon to pick a winner, with Vince picking Kane as Austin told him that they would do things the easy way if Kane wins or the hard way if he doesn't. Kane and Taker went 5 minutes in the casket match, ending up with them breaking the casket and brawling to the back with no winner, setting up the show payoff segment with Austin pushing Vince to the ring saying that there's something he's got to do. After handing the WWF a massive unopposed audience that ended up breaking the tie in Raw's favor during the overrun last week, WCW countered this week, going 6 minutes past 11 with the first Sting vs. Bret Hart match in an impromptu pay-per-view preview, going 4 minutes to close the show, with the match continuing the run of strong numbers for the Sting vs. Bret feud, jumping over 600,000 viewers to a peak 5 rating, even going up against a huge audience on Raw. At the same time on USA, just as Hart vs. Sting started, Steve Austin carried Vince to the ring after 2 hours of build-up and subtle hints for what might happen and how far Austin would go. The controversial segment, which saw the crowd popping big to the possibility of Austin shooting McMahon to end the show, long hype for the moment, proved to have massive intrigue as Raw jumped huge during the overrun with over 1.7 million viewers, peaking with a 6.3 rating, which combined with the 5 rating for the Sting vs. Bret match head-to-head, resulted in the biggest combined viewership to date with over 12 million viewers between 11 to 11:06 p.m., as Raw drew its second highest opposed rating in history with a 5 rating to WCW's 4.4.